Kick it
Well,
off.
you guys, I was the one complaining about being in a hotel room, I might add, and like being on a different time zone. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss the meeting. And here we are. So, anyways, you guys, we are back. Thank you for joining us. As you know, we join here to talk about how can we help to grow to be the best producers that we can be, to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, really. But that ultimately means that you're going to be, top of your game. So I have a friend of mine here, Roy George, CEO, owner of More Lending, and so what we were just talking about on the other call, we're going to get right into it. But I wanted Roy to really talk about what he's built over at his organization, leveraging the tech stack, leveraging the data so that really he's really powering his folks to be armed and ready. So, Roy, jump back in. Let's see if you can replay what you were saying before.
Yeah, sure. No problem. And listen, Rick, no big deal at all. I can tell you when I first launched AI in our organization, we definitely had some missteps. And we were grateful that those missteps were family members or other people we were testing things on because that could have gone in a terrible direction. But so yeah, man, you learn from every mistake you make in this digital world, and you just got to keep pushing along. So.
And the good news is everybody on here is family, so they're very forgiving.
Nice. Love that.
Well,
Love
they've
that.
become
Love
our
that.
family now,
This it's the
anyways, right?
yes, the top producers lab family.
I love that. I love that. So, let tell you a little bit about More. More was founded in 2020. I was a consultant for this organization. I had just retired from my corporate life. I left one of the top four home builders in the U.S. as their chief compliance officer in 2020 and decided to go do nothing. I was custom making some sneakers, playing a little golf, which I actually don't like, but I can't play basketball anymore because my knee hurts. I lasted about 5 or 6 months and then I could not stay retired. It just didn't work for me. And so I came back into the space doing some consulting work. And about two and a half, not even, about a year and a half into that, 3.5 years ago, I ended up purchasing this company and taking it from the brokerage that it was into a lending institution and have since grown it from a tiny little four-person operation to almost 58 people now, 19 states that we are currently lending in or providing broker services in. And we've gotten to a good place. 3.5 years ago, I decided, hey, let's change gears here. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to create the same company because then what? I mean, I'm sitting here fighting for the same recruiting. I'm sitting here fighting for the same loans. I'm sitting here fighting for all the same relationships, right? The realtors and everybody else that brings you, your potential new clients. And we talked about coaching a little bit, Rick, and we can get back into that later. But there's so many pieces of advice out there on how to get your new business, and honestly, many of them are derivatives of the others. Some people graduate to a point where they want to go open their own coaching place, and you kind of start realizing like, hey, the message is kind of the same, the goals are kind of the same. So I wanted to really drive away from that, and I focused a lot of my energy on things that everybody else wasn't focusing on at the time. Now, today, AI, LLM models, those are just regular words that everybody says, and it's in everybody's playbook in some form or fashion, whether they're actually executing it or not, different story, but it's there, right? It's in every article you read, it's in every LinkedIn post you see, and you can't get away from it. But 3.5 years ago, I purchased what at the time was just ChatGPT was the only one available. So I purchased the enterprise version of that and created the firewall here for the system. We started to compete against Fannie and Freddie's AUS, and we were winning, right? We do it differently than a lot of other people. Every 30 days, we re-enter all of the guidelines, all of the notices, every change that has happened and we've been informed of, or every change that has happened that we pull down from their websites. And we enter that into our ChatGPT or our LLM model. And, it updates in a form that allows my loan officers, my processors, the people that work here to be able to combat underwriting. So if you're a lender and you're on the processing or loan officer side, now you have the tools right in front of you to be able to go back to your underwriter and say, hey, you underwrote that wrong, or you added a condition that didn't need to be there. Can you get rid of that before I even show it to my customer? Can you get rid of that before I go over it with my customer? I have processors who are outdoing underwriters, and I mean underwriters have been in the business for 35 years. I got a processor that sits about maybe 10 feet down the hall from me, and he can actually plug everything in, and he will run back over to the underwriter and say, hey, I know I've only been in the business for 2 years, but these conditions don't need to be here, and these are the reasons why. And then underwriter will look at the write-up and just go, okay, and it gets removed. So, we're able to leverage technology in a different way than what most people are doing. I do have a strategic advantage and it's unfair. I'm brand new. There's nothing to replace, undo, or unlearn. Most of the people that work here are green when they get to me. I take a lot of people that are outside of the industry. And so, because I have those people, I have to focus on the data that I'm providing them, right? Because they don't actually know when they first get here how to get that data. If I'm giving them tools like what Courtney provides through MMI, they don't know how to use that. They don't even know what they're looking for. Sometimes they just go in there and they pull up a bunch of realtors' names and they say, those are my cold calls for the day. And then I have to go in and show them, like, hey, you can dive deeper into this. Only search for realtors that have done anywhere between 2 and 5 transactions this year. If you're new, find those people and grow with them. When they get to be a 10 transaction a year real estate agent, you've grown with them through that transition and you've been there with them. And if you have 20 or 30 of them, that's great, right? Go ahead, Rick. I saw you about to say something.
No, so yeah, because you poked on something that, like, obviously as an active originator myself, that struck a nerve. Because when you start with them in the beginning when they're growing, they're more grateful and kind to you than if you go after them when they're already there and they're scorned and have certain expectations that you're like, well, this is how I work. So I like that perspective, and I wanted to just point on that it's so much now. But you want to identify the hungry ones because not all will grow.
Sure.
So
Sure.
identify the hungry ones by what type of activity are they doing consistently? Because a
Sure.
lot of people can say they're growing, and you're like, awesome. Like, what activity are you doing?
So that's actually perfect, Rick. That actually segues right into what I'm providing them.
That's
So
what my goal
yeah.
was, to give you the layup.
By the way, we did not practice this.
No,
Great.
And that
I'm
was
learning
so
about I'm
perfect.
I'm learning about Roy and his product on this call like everybody else. So
So check this out. So what you just stated, yes, if you're an originator and you're looking to grow your business, you should absolutely do what Rick just said, right? Find the hungry ones, find the ones that are going to grow. But then that requires you to go back into the data on a regular basis. That's something that we provide to our loan officers. Hey, who are the people that are in your potential referral group? Let's monitor them on a regular basis. So every quarter, I'm sending you an update saying, hey, these are the realtors who've actually had an additional transaction this following quarter or have more listing side transactions available on record. It gives you a really good opportunity to say, hey, who is actually growing? Who should maybe I pay a little bit more attention to? Who do I need to reach out to again? And who's really worth staying top of mind on a much, much more consistent basis. And Rick, honestly, that realtor might be the realtor that doesn't just get the phone call, the email drip, and et cetera. That one might be the one that said that you say, "Hey, I'm going to Starbucks. I was going to come pick something up. You want me to drop by and I've got something I need to talk to you about." Those are really good opportunities to get live with somebody. And we focus on a lot of those types of things from a data-driven perspective. The LLM really is for uh, the the functionalities that are not sales, but the tools like MMI are so important if you're trying to be a top producer anywhere, right? It doesn't matter what company you work at, doesn't matter if you're a banker, if you're an IMB, if you're a broker, the tool is specifically catering to you being able to find exactly what you need so that you can succeed and reach those people, grow your business in every form and fashion. Sometimes you'll even meet people that you didn't even think of the business relationship that could be there. Maybe you meet a realtor that has a deep commercial tie, and I know in today's market, I see a lot of loan originators who are resi loan originators, dipping their toe in the commercial market or trying to play both sides. And um, listen,
Okay,
yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was saying
Oh,
like, it's interesting you say that because I'm of the opinion, don't do everything, be good at one.
yeah.
And like people ask me like, Rick, everybody, you should be a realtor and get a real estate license. Or do you do commercial? Man, there's enough in the residential business that'll stress me out and I need to learn and get better at, that doing all these other things isn't gonna make you better. It's just gonna stretch you thin and make you inconsistent. So I,
Yes.
you know, I don't know if I'm laying up into what you're saying again, but that's just an honest opinion I have, that our industry, so many people try to be everything instead of just being great at their thing.
I feel like we cheated. I feel like we must have like met each other in a different life and practiced this somewhere else.
No.
Um, Dude, so
It
yeah,
was the magic. I
yeah.
just put
Yeah,
you guys together.
Courtney
That
brought
was
the
me.
magic.
I
we
was
we've
just
never
like
met today.
the
And
puppet
now,
master putting it all together. So everyone on the call can thank me now. Yep.
nice,
Is it
nice.
that's
Well,
why
thank
Courtney's been
you.
Courtney's been dripping these TikTok videos to me to like plant seeds, like inceptioning me. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're absolutely right, right? So LOs need to be able to focus on their space, their niche, their thing, the what they do well, right? I have loan officers at my organization that are definitely just A paper originators. I have some that are nothing but non-QM originators. I have one that is a VA loan only person. The differentiator that you have to give yourself is, hey, there are these three people that work at my organization. And I know if I run across a VA deal, I can hand it off to this person and say, hey, it's one of my clients. Please take care of them. I know you do VA all the time, and it would be great if you could help focus them through that. Or, hey, I've got this self-employed borrower that I don't have the wherewithal to really deal with right now because there's an 87-page tax return and there's a Schedule E in there that I need to go through because the REO is unbelievable. It's 20 of the 80 pages. And you might want to give that to your non-QM person and say, hey, there may be a better option somewhere else for him that isn't in the Fannie Freddie space, right? So, yeah, there's definitely the benefit of understanding what your focal point is as far as what my customer type is, what am I great at? And that's why we built the silos the way we built them, right? They do interact with each other, but they are separate companies. They have separate employees. They have separate originators. My commercial division, originally based out of Indiana and just recently moved to Miami, they do commercial. They don't do resi. And if you talk to the originators over there about residential loans, they just look at you kind of like this with their head sideways, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And if you try to go in there and, push a customer through, and, resi guys are resi guys, right? We're all in that resi space at one point or another. We know a PQ comes in a couple of minutes, couple of hours, you can be done. We want to get an offer out as immediately, as soon as possible. We want our borrower walking into a realtor's office with that pre-approval in hand. In the commercial space, it is, hey, thanks for that package. We will get back to you when we feel like it, and stop calling us. And
What's your turn time when we feel like it?
it's a unfortunate piece of reality in the commercial space is everything takes longer, right? So whether you are looking for an appraisal, that appraisal can have a multi-phase inspection requirement, and phase inspections include things like EPA inspections or other variables that are not normal for resi business. Right. And that could be 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out because you can't get an inspector out there until their schedule clears up. Or maybe you've got something that has, 20 floors and it's a 20-floor building. No appraiser is going to appraise 20 floors of a building in one day. It's not happening. All right. So that might be 2 Fridays in a row that somebody has to go out there and look at 10 floors at a time. And so, you've got a 3-week waiting period before that document gets back to you, right? So commercials are a lot longer and it's a lot different. And that's why we create the bifurcation of the types of business, and we don't let them run over the other. Now, we do give everybody an advantage. All of our resi people are allowed to submit to the commercial side. and they get to they get to participate in that because unlike our resi world, commercial world has no RESPA regulation. So
Oh man, I need to jump to commercial. You just changed my that. Well, once Respect pops me, I'm coming to y'all side. I'm kidding.
Yeah, so again, that's another data point that you can use that's really important, right? Like you've got a client base. Have you ever gone in there and just checked to see how many of my clients are self-employed? And if they're self-employed, what do they do for work? Are they a trucker? Do they own 9 trucks? Where do they house those trucks? Are they renting 9 spaces for, 9 big rigs? Well, maybe we want to talk to them about how we can purchase a lot for them so they're not paying rent anymore. Maybe they want to purchase a lot and start renting to some of the other people they know. Maybe they have a business that requires a large warehouse or some other type of building and they're leasing that. And let's get them out of that lease space and get them into an interest-only 10-year term loan because there is an advantage to the lease and the IO payment on the commercial side, right? It's a write-off on the business, and that's why they take it. They're not looking for that 30-year payment plan. They're looking for a 10-year IO. They're going to refinance every 8 to 9 years. And so, that data point within your Resi portfolio is super important to create a whole new revenue stream that, if you're working at the right place or you have the right connection, you can absolutely utilize to your advantage and create an extra income stream that you were never thinking about before.
Yeah. Well, it's using your database, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's you're using it in a different fashion, so you're not saying, hey, these are folks that, go mine your database for refis. Yes, in Resi, you're going to be doing that, right? And money move opportunities. But you're using that database in a whole nother way to mine your own database. And I
absolutely.
mean, what a creative, I mean, super creative thought process. I mean, to go in and look up that information. So, and funny enough, like I hadn't ever heard anyone actually kind of throw that tip out. But that's genius. So you might have just given away your secret right there.
No, I know I
Yeah.
didn't. I
I
did.
think Roy's got a lot more secrets. I could tell.
And that secret was really cool because, I have about, I think we have about 27 commercial agents across the US today. And out of those 27, none of them work at More. They all work at other mortgage companies.
Yeah.
So that's because their mortgage companies don't do
Yeah.
commercial, or their version of commercial is I do DSCRs,
Right. Right.
which
Right. Right.
is not
Yeah.
commercial. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
So,
definitely not commercial.
no, it's not. So yeah, and then going back to what you just said, mining the database for refis. That's another thing that you should be looking at when you're looking at, if it's MMI that you're using it, that should be another thing you're looking at, right? MonitorBase is there. I actually couple MonitorBase's data along with another company that I use called it's a concierge service, white labeled to me. It's called Live Easy. And so they do touch points during my loan process, and then MonitorBase is there to check in on things after my loan's done, which gives
Yeah.
me both of those points of contact when something might be changing. And it's a great way to make sure that I'm capturing a potential move, I'm capturing an uptick or a downtick that may require a refinance. Those are really important things to do. Um, and another thing that we got as an advantage when you guys at MMI recently bought the other 2 companies or acquired them or however that happened. I don't know
Yep.
the details of that, but however you got
Look him up.
Bonzo and yeah, that's right, Bonzo and MonitorBase. The CRM wonderfully done. We like Bonzo. Uh, but it was actually really, really great to use along with the existing LLM model here. And we were able
Yeah.
to write our own, implement some of that, use what's already in there, kind of tie them together. It really helped to drive what we're doing the way we're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, kind of touching on that, and for anyone that's on the call, I mean, you've heard me, mention it, and while this is not, just a push for MMI, obviously, I'm biased, and I'm going to say that that's what's going to help, right? But using the tools that are going to provide that for you. And so, to the point that Roy is talking about, we have all the data with the data center. We've got the communication platform piece, and that's why we bought Bonzo, and that's why we incorporated that in. And we have the monitor based piece. So you layer all of that together, and that's what we actually are, now surfacing up, and that's what's MMI one. And by the way, we look at this. Now I'm going to show you guys this. This is not really a thing that I'm launching or kind of showing a sneak peek of this tonight and today while at Housing Wire. But look at that right there.
Oh,
That is
wow.
the mobile app taking all of that together. And when I added or when I opened this up, this is the first time I opened it up this morning, it said to me immediately, you've got 10 opportunities you need to take action on today, right now.
Nice.
And then it's
That's
got my
awesome.
entire database. No, really, I'm not a loan officer, so it's not
I
really.
was going to say, can you refer those to me, Courtney?
Yeah,
I can
right.
call them right away.
And so again, right here, right in your fingertips, right? You can stick that right in your pocket. So more to come on that. But I mean, it's what is your database doing to surface up those opportunities? And Roy's been doing a lot of that, quite frankly. He's kind of put all that in play and kind of surfacing up opportunities for his folks. And so
So,
now maybe his folks, he's gonna have them on speed dial on this mobile app. He's gonna be like, you got these opportunities coming up, right? So, go ahead.
Roy, yeah,
Yeah,
I got a question for you on monitor base. Obviously, I know of it from Courtney, but I want to know from the lens of how it would help a loan officer. Like, I want to hear it from a user. So tell me more about
sure.
monitor base. What do you like about it? What does it do? How does it help with your business? Or not
Sure.
even just your, but originators.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, so take me out of the equation, right? Just to caveat that for a second, I originate probably one or two loans a quarter, and I only do that to make sure that I still know what everybody's doing. That if something's broken and somebody says to me this doesn't work, that I get to experience that broken for myself. Or is it just user error, right? I like really like to know what it is. So I do that once or twice a quarter. Outside of that, I don't originate. So that being said, from my originator's point of views, um, it's the little data points that change, right? Whether you're talking about a change in value, whether you're talking about a change in the ones that have rates that are at X and we could capture them because rates are down. Those are the types of things you're going to want to look at when you're looking at that kind of a service. Um, Now I'm kind of trying to be careful because Courtney said this isn't a plug for MMI, and I noticed that I kept saying MMI, so now I'm trying to be careful when I'm
No,
talking
no,
No,
for
no.
that
I'm
service.
saying purposely, I'm not. I'm saying that we
Oh,
have folks on that are not just using
I
MMI, is what I'm
gotcha. I
saying.
gotcha.
So
Okay.
you use it. So you talk about the tool you
All
use.
right. So I'm going to
I'm
go
and
back
saying
to
that
my
and I
comfortable
don't
other
space.
and
users.
and I don't use it. I'm not signed up. So I am
Oh,
true. I'm asking from curiosity because
yeah.
Courtney's told me about it for a while, and like all of us in the industry, we're like, well, I mean, I'm spending this, I'm spending that, like I'm paying for
Yeah.
this thing, and there's only so much I can spend at my current production level. So she's raved about it, but she's also not an originator or not in the
Yep.
business like or from a leadership role. So it's not
Yeah.
that I
So
mean, I give her a ton of credibility. She's amazing and sharp, but I just want to hear from your lens.
so
Yeah.
what he's
So
saying though is he does use MMI and Bonzo. He is
Yes.
not using the monitor base piece. So he's specifically
I got
asking,
you.
how does the
Yes.
monitor base layered on bring that extra, value?
Right. So really it's about being able to monitor what's going on. So remember when I told you I used two different companies to kind of to provide that data to us? So MonitorBase is the one providing the data, right? Um, my Live Easy group is the one that is contacting, right? So I can send a quick update based on my MonitorBase data to my Live Easy group and say, hey, call these people, see what's happening. And that's based on anything, right? It could be a credit inquiry alert. It could be a listing alert. It could be some of the things running off my head at the moment. But those types of alerts are the ones that my group here is looking at and then providing back to the LO. So don't get it completely wrong. I'm not saying that you as an LO should do that. I think that's a lot more work, but I think that for me, we're able to have a small group here that can actually capture that data for my LOs and then provide it back to the LO saying, hey, go call these people. This just happened, right? Their credit score just went up by, who knows, 40 points since the last time you talked to them. Or they just had their home listed, or the last address we had on file is listed as a for sale property, right? So those types of things are the pieces of data that we capture in order to say, hey, do we need to make contact? Do we need to um, say something to them, whatever it may be, but those are the things. Now, there's another thing in there, and I believe it's called a scenario tool or something of that nature, where you can actually then kind of help. Uh, oh yeah, okay,
Predict
scenario.
predictive scenario alerts.
That's
So
it. Yeah.
essentially what that is, and then Roy can talk about how they use that, is it's predicting behavior about 90 days out. So it's different types of behavior that might lead you to take note that they're probably literally going to either buy a home or list their home, or they're looking to do something from an equity standpoint. Like there's different types of behavioral predictive type scenarios that are put in place as well that you can tell by how someone kind of
Yeah.
manages their finances and what they're doing.
And we use that same data to figure out if they belong in one campaign, a different campaign, if we should reach out to them manually for something that we have noticed that could come up. Um, you could even kind of look at it and say, hey, this might occur. So let's just call and put it in their heads, right? So
Yep.
not only does it create a phone call where your customer is saying, "Hey, Rick, thanks for thinking of me about that. I have been thinking about this, or we did just recently do this, and you just happen to call at the most opportune time. Maybe now you look like you're creating magic, and it's not just Courtney."
There you go. Well, see,
Love
but wait a
this.
minute. Maybe I created the magic before it got to you with the whole, Um, well, I
Courtney's
know
always
that
creating magic.
I know we're at time, but I also know we started about 5 minutes late, but still want to be conscious of everyone's time. Did anyone have any last minute questions that they wanted to throw in the chat and ask Roy, or you all have become experts and you're going to go now look at your database and see what other opportunities you can go find?
Well, while we're waiting for questions, one of my biggest takeaways is leverage the tools that you have access to, because that could
Yeah.
really help you scale. And I know Roy and I talked a little bit prior to the call, but from this session, that's one of my biggest takeaways is leverage more of the tools that are available.
Yeah. Yeah. Number one, I would say to you, if you don't have questions right now, the biggest question is, what are the tools that are available to me? Do I know how to use them? And can I incorporate maybe some of the things that can make my life easier, like a ChatGPT type of additional tool to kind of help me through utilizing the tools I have that are provided by my company.
Yep. Yep. Well, it's big topic. Especially it seems like, well, I mean, especially AI, that's been a huge topic going into this, this year, especially. Like, I mean, it's a big thing that's talked about at the different conferences. But the other big thing is what tools are you leveraging and what tools do you have in place to help you? Because the days of, you know, Excel spreadsheets and writing stuff down and trying to keep up with everybody. Quite frankly, I mean, and I know, Rick, you still have your list. I get
Yeah,
it.
this is just
But
this month. I'm struggling. No, you're right. Like
but quite frankly,
you're
though,
absolutely right.
you're still using your other tools
I am.
to
Yep.
do the reach out and you're doing the other stuff. My point is if you are strictly going off of the old style and you don't have something in place that you're leveraging, especially in today's world, you're missing the boat. Like you've got to
Mhm.
figure out something because, the true days of what used to, you're gonna get left behind. I mean, Roy, you said it yourself, using the AI system that you're using and the underwriters and the processors, and it's like, wait, what? Like, how fast did you do that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
right.
it's no longer, I mean, if you're taking the time to do this anymore.
By the way, I am going to tell you, and this is my piece of advice to all of you. I've been doing this a really long time. I'm in year number 30 now. Um, Please be nice when you show up with your generated underwriting AUS to tell somebody who's been doing their job for 25 years that they did it wrong.
That might be the best advice that he gave on the call
Yeah.
today, right now. But
So to that point, what I started doing to be nice is I'll tell ChatGPT, I'm like, help me respond to this underwriter's email using a Chris Voss framework.
Oh,
So Chris Voss
nice.
is the hostage negotiator. So I
Yeah.
got wise to not call them out anymore. And it's like, would it be a crazy to believe that maybe this, and this could exist?
I love that, Rick.
oh goodness. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you. We'll be back here next Tuesday, and we'll have some other good topics to discuss. So
Thanks,
thanks,
everybody.
Roy, so much for joining. Thanks, Rick.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.